What kind of some common mistakes that you've seen people make when financing cars, and how can immigrants avoid issues like signing bad agreements or rushing to buy cars that are too expensive? What are the
first mistake people do is they go into the internet and then they fill out their credit app from different dealers. Oh, this dealer have this car. Okay, you fill it out, boom, boom, boom. So click on submit, gone. You go to another dealer, they fill out the credit app, and then submit, boom, they go to another dealer. So what you're doing is basically you're shopping around, which is not a bad thing. The only bad thing there is that you're applying for a credit check. So when you're applying for a credit check, the dealer pulls up your credit because you already applied online and clicked the submit button. It's also good for you to check for your insurance, just to get a heads up. Because the problems we've seen so far is when people come in to buy a car and then they buy this car and then they can't even afford the insurance because they've not done their due diligence on the insurance. So they now go back and be like, sorry, we couldn't get insurance, it's too expensive, it's that, and then that becomes a problem. The dealer wouldn't want to hear that. He believes you should have done all those due diligence before you come in.
For new immigrants coming into the country, they don't have maybe enough credit history. What is the importance of building a Canadian credit history before financing a car?
If you come into the country, first you need to build your credit, and you try as much as possible not to spend too much from your credit. Try and spend maybe 30% of whatever you have. At the end of the day, what happens to their credits is the credits get so bad that even when they come in to buy a car or any other thing, they won't be able to get anything. So basically, in a very layman term, financing is basically just borrowing. So you're borrowing from a financial institution, and then getting to pay back with time. You can do bi-weekly, you can do monthly.
I clarify. So if I want to buy a 2010 vehicle and now we're in 2025, and you said I'm going to pay more interest rates compared to if I'm buying a newer vehicle?
Yes, because it's an older unit. So the banks believe there is a higher risk with an older unit, limited to 30%. So what happens is whenever people come in, they go they go bizarre with their shoppings and all that, right? You think, oh, well, it's $50, and you say, okay, I missed it, but I'll pay it next month. It's okay, I'll pay it next month. You need to pay it at that time. If you miss it at that time, you've missed the payment. And then it goes to your bureau, and then it says payment missed. And once they see that, the bank see that, they feel they don't trust you anymore, right? So it's always very good for you to, find out what your insurance is, so that immediately you come in, if you buy the car, you already know, okay, I'm paying this for insurance as well. So Brampton is way high in insurance. So, and once everybody start pulling your credit start going low. So with a good credit of even 700 plus, they can bring it down to like 600.
Hello viewers, thank you again for joining another very interesting episode on the Debo Talk Show. I want to say big thank you to everyone who's recently subscribed to our channel and who's liked, who's commented on our previous episodes. I really want to say big thank you. Please keep sharing, liking, as it encourages us to do more. Today I have a very educating topic that we will be discussing, especially as it surrounds new immigrants in Canada on how to finance their vehicles. And joining me today is Chidi Ume Akaize, is a seasoned car finance expert with years of experience helping individuals, especially newcomers, navigate the often confusing process of financing a vehicle in Ontario. It works directly with clients to secure the best loan options and understands the unique challenges immigrants face when trying to buy their first vehicle in Canada. Chidi, it's a pleasure to have you on the Debo podcast. You're welcome. How are you today, sir?
Good. It's a pleasure to be here today as well. The Debo show. I'm really pleased to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We were so honored to have you grace our show today. So, Chidi, we will just get to it. Like the story is when people travel or migrate to Canada or North America specifically, it doesn't seem to have like a very viable transportation network, compared to like Europe or London, where you can hop on a train and go in buses easily. In North America and Canada specifically, it's a little bit tight or a little bit difficult. So to start off, can you explain to us in simple terms what does financing a car even mean to start with, for someone coming from Nigeria who doesn't even have any knowledge of financing a car? Most times in Nigeria you're buying everything 100%. What does financing a car mean?
Okay, again, financing is a term used like in almost every aspect of life these days. But when it comes to the car aspect, it's almost the same as every other aspect. So basically, in a very layman term, financing is basically just borrowing. So you're borrowing from a financial institution, and then getting to pay back with time. So very easy and simple. You want to borrow $5,000, and I said, okay, now I'm putting into the car aspect now. I said, okay, instead of you giving me 5,000, take this car as the 5,000, okay, and then pay me back with time. So you pay me back with time, you have to pay with interest, and that's just basically what it is. So instead of you paying $5,000, you might end up paying $6,000 because I borrowed you the car, obviously, or rather I give you the car in respect of the money. So that's what the term is, just borrowing. That's what it is.
So financing typically just means I am using what I have to borrow. I use this car for a little while I'm paying. When I'm paying probably on a bi-weekly basis or a monthly basis and stuff like that. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
Please go on.
Oh, okay. So it's basically the terms the financial institution decides to give, that is comfortable for you. If you want to go monthly, if you want to go, it's just like you borrowing maybe a cash or something from someone, and it is okay. Pay me every month. Pay me like $1,000, or every 1 week pay me $100. Till the money is complete with my interest. So it's all what you decide, your agreement with that person. So it's the same thing with car loan as well. So you can do bi-weekly, you can do weekly, you can do bi-weekly, you can do monthly. Those are the only three options you have to do, actually.
All right. Yeah, I was going to get to that, to say, okay, so specifically in Ontario, can you just walk us through? I know you've touched on a little bit, but can you walk us through familiar terms like? So talk to me like a novice, like someone who doesn't know anything about financing. So walk me through what interest rate is, what down payment is, and what loan terms are.
So basically, interest rate is the interest accrued on the loan. So let's say, for example, you get a car of 5,000. All right. These days, anyways, I'm just using $5,000. You don't get a car $5,000, but it makes it easier, right? So $5,000, and then over time, instead of it, because you borrowed the money, obviously, you're supposed to pay an interest on it. So that interest is whatsoever is on top of the $5,000.
Okay.
So if the interest is like, let's say 10% or whatever it is, and then you're gonna have like $1,000 on top of the 5,000. That's the interest on top of it. So anything on top of the original money you borrowed is what the interest is. And then the term have to do with different cars. Okay, when it comes to the auto industry, different cars in terms of if it's an older unit, right? From maybe let's say 2010 and below, some financial institutions actually get approvals for those kind of cars. But because the 2010 and below is going to be way on a high interest. In fact, you're looking at somewhere around say 15% and up.
Sorry, can I clarify?
11.
Can I clarify? So if I want to buy a 2010 vehicle and now we're in 2025, and you said I'm going to pay more interest rates compared to if I'm buying a newer vehicle?
Yes, because it's an older unit. So the banks believe there is a higher risk with an older unit. So the terms is going to be way lower as well. So instead of you getting like up to 84 months, which is like 7 years, you're going to be getting like say 3 years or 4 years or something like that, because they need to recoup the money as quickly as possible. And at the same time, because it's an older unit, your interest rate is going to be way higher.
Wow, that's interesting. I didn't know.
And there is only about 1 or 2 lenders who will give you that for a 2010 though. So anything from a 20,
I was going to ask
2012. So anything from a 2012 and down, so 2012, 11, 10, all the way down, you can't get anything less than 12%. Nothing less than 12%. So it starts from 12% and up. But anything from 2014 to about 15, 16, 17 to some extent, okay, let's say 14, 15, 16, you can still get somewhere around 8.99, 9.99 rate. All right. Then from 2018 and up, you can get lower. You can get like 7, depending on your credit though. So everything depends on your credit. With the old ones, with a good credit or bad credit, you're still gonna get a higher interest rate anyways.
Regardless of your credit score, if you're buying an old car, the interest rate is going to be minimum 12%.
Yes, minimum 12%.
That's interesting stuff. Does it make sense? I'm just thinking now. Does it make sense to come in as a new immigrant and finance an old car?
For me, it doesn't, because you're already incurring so much loan on yourself, even without doing nothing. You're not settled, you've not done nothing yet, and then you pick up an old car that would maybe die at any time. You never know. Because that's why everybody wants to get a newer car. The reason is just for you to to have more to feel more
peace, to have
better
peace of
with
mind.
Yourself, at peace with yourself, that you're using something new that will not break down on the road with time. So at least you're very sure of that to some extent. They are all cars though, they are all machines. Even we as humans, we break down as well. But the chances of breakdown with a newer car is way lower than the chances of the older ones. There's a high probability of it breaking down, and we've seen it like over and over again happening. So obviously
now
the newer ones, everything is new, so you don't expect it to change anything at that time. You still have time for it to get old, and then you start changing. So that gives it more of that lifespan, and then the other one is like almost dead.
I see. Now, for new immigrants coming into the country, they don't have maybe enough credit history. What is the importance of building a Canadian credit history before financing a car? How important is building a credit history?
It is very important. In fact, It's very good. I have this platform because I've been looking for so many ways to be able to pass this message to a lot of people. Okay, if you come into the country, first you need to build your credit, and you try as much as possible not to spend too much from your credit. Try and spend maybe 30% of whatever you have. So, for example, you have $1,000 of credit limit. You try and spend like 300. Okay, lower it to that. If you can spend 400, that's stretching it a little bit, but 300 would be ideal. Okay, and once you buy something with that credit card, try and pay it back maybe in 7-10 days, or maybe a week. 7-10 days is okay. A week is 7 days, so let's say 10 to 15 days. Just try and pay it back within those periods. And then go again. Because the more you spend, actually, the more points you get. Right? So, but just try and limit it to 30%. So what happens is whenever people come in, they go they go bizarre with their shoppings and all that, right? So it's just a lot. And then at the end of the day, what happens to their credits? It's the credits get so bad that even when they come in to buy a car or any other thing, they won't be able to get anything. And then some people don't watch their payments. Like some things like your mobile phone, some people ignore it. It's like $50, $40, whatever it is. And then you don't pay that. That thing will bring down your credit for at least 2 years or thereabout. Is really, really significant. So you have to be careful with that as well. Your mobile, those little things you think, oh, well, it's $50, and you say, okay, I missed it, but I'll pay it next month. It's okay, I'll pay it next month. You need to pay it at that time. If you miss it at that time, you've missed the payment. And then it goes to your bureau, and then it says payment missed. And once they see that, the bank see that, they feel they don't trust you anymore. There's nothing they can do with you anymore, and it becomes a problem.
Thank you so much for clarifying.
One more thing I want to keep.
Sure.
Yeah, one more thing I want to say is, okay, maybe we will leave that to when, if you want to, let's just leave that to the next stage. I think, it's fine.
Okay. So I just wanted to recap what you said. So importance of building a credit history as a new immigrant cannot be overemphasized. And what our guest Chidi Omekaze is saying is, when you get a credit card, you want to make sure your utilization is 30% at the first instance. So you want to do 30% on, and even if you're doing 30% and you want to pay off within the shortest possible time, if you want to spend more than 30%. I think that's what our guest was trying to say with regards to that. So very important. And then I've heard some people think credit card is like free money. So when they get credit card, they just go on, to your point, they go on shopping spree, and at the end of the day, they forget to pay. They forget to pay, or they actually even think it's free credit, and only onto the point where they want to finance a car, that's when they realize that, man, this is the interest rate they're giving me is really horrible. So thank you for clarifying that. Another very important point that you made, which is very important, that I think a lot of people also need to talk about, is also to know about, is not forgetting your payments due date for anything that you're paying on credits, or that you're paying monthly. As small as your phone bill is, like $40, $50, it can mess your credit up. So thank you so much for clarifying that.
I use the example of this. I use the example for with the phone bill because that's the cheapest. I think that's the cheapest payment I feel you can get. So you can imagine that if you're having issues with that smaller payment, then what's going to happen with the bigger one? So
makes sense. Thank you for clarifying that. Now, for people who are obviously looking to finance in a vehicle, what documents should someone have ready? Like, what kind of documents should they have ready when applying for car financing?
I think your driver's license you have to make ready. G2 is okay. G2, G, then if you have in mind what you want to buy, maybe you have a particular kind of car you want to buy, you have it in mind already, it's also good for you to check for your insurance, just to get a heads up. Because the problems we've seen so far is when people come in to buy a car and then they buy this car and then they can't even afford the insurance because they've not done their due diligence on the insurance. So they now go back and be like, oh, sorry, we couldn't get insurance, it's too expensive, it's that, you know, and then that becomes a problem. The dealer wouldn't want to hear that. He believes you should have done all those due diligence before you come in, right? So it's always very good for you to, you know, find out what your insurance is, so that immediately you come in, you know, if you buy the car, you already know, okay, I'm paying this for insurance, give or take, okay, your car will be around, say, 200, 250, you know, that's your budget. You can make that budget when you come into the dealership. We can work with your budget one way or the other. But the insurance, there's no, you just have to get insurance, and it might be too high for you.
Interesting. So that's a very solid point again that people need to work on. Financing a car is just one part of it. In this part of the world, you have to pay for insurance on your vehicle, and your insurance is monthly.
Yep.
And the newer your car, the more expensive your insurance is in this country, unfortunately.
Yeah. And then it has to do with the areas as well. So Brampton is way high in insurance. So in fact, before you even think of a car in Brampton, you first of all go and check on insurance, you know. For those in the KW, and KW is a little bit cheaper. Toronto is high, Brampton is high, Mississauga is high. So KW is still Kitchener. I mean, when I say KW, Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge area. So those are like way cheaper places you can get insurance from. Yeah. And then you only need your driver's license. Back to your question, you only need your driver's license. Your pay stubs you might need, but not at the first instance.
Oh,
right?
okay.
If you have a very good credit, you can just tell the finance manager verbally what you earn, and then they will just, you know, impute that. But if need be that they need the pay stubs, you know, they would definitely call you back and just let you know you should just get your pay stubs in. But make sure that you give them the correct information about your job and all those stuffs.
That makes sense. So the first thing they want to have, people who are looking to finance in a vehicle need to have is their driver's license, and G2 is fine. And then of
G2
course
is good,
G2 is good, and then of course you've mentioned just having a good credit history, and having a pay. So just to clarify, I have to be earning, right? I have to have an income before I can finance a vehicle.
Oh, how do you want to pay for your
Right.
How do you want to pay? I wouldn't really want to pay for you. You have to pay for yourself. The income has to come from somewhere. You know, so you need to be making some money, definitely, for you to be able to get a car.
Makes sense. Okay. All right. And then so what are some common mistakes from your experience, because you've been doing this since forever? You've been, you know, like a finance expert and advisor for people who are buying cars. What kind of some common mistakes that you've seen people make when financing cars, and how can immigrants avoid issues like, you know, signing bad agreements or rushing to buy cars that are too expensive? What are the steps that one needs to take? I mean, sometimes it even happens to people who have even been in the country for a longer period. So how much more for a newer immigrant? You know, what have you seen? What cases have you seen, and what should people look out for?
Okay, so this is very important as well. The first mistake people do is they go into the internet and then they fill out their credit app from different, you know, dealers. Oh, this dealer have this car. Okay, you fill it out. Boom, boom, boom. So click on submit. Gone. You go to another dealer. They fill out the credit app. You know, and then submit. Boom. They go to another dealer. So what you're doing is basically you're shopping around, which is not a bad thing. The only bad thing there is that you're applying for a credit check. So when you're applying for a credit check, the dealer pulls up your credit because you already applied online and clicked the submit button. So they pull your credit, and once everybody start pulling your credit, your credit start going low. So with a good credit of even 700 plus, they can bring it down to like 600. That's how bad it is. And at that point, you won't be able to get nothing. It's only take a miracle for you to get. You might, but it's just, pretty hard. So what
I would like you
say
to clarify. I would
is,
like you to clarify something, Chidi. I'd like you to clarify just for viewers, especially newer people or people who are intending to migrate.
yeah.
What does a credit check mean? What does it mean? I just want you to clarify that.
Credit check is just, it means checking your credit to be able to know if you're qualified to be able to get the car. So credit check happens most times when doing two things in Canada: when buying a house and when buying a car. Most times. Now some companies like the telecommunication companies as well, they pull credit, but some of them do, and then some I think some insurance companies as well do that as well. But the main ones are mostly buying the car and then the house as well. If you want to get a home, if you want to buy if you want to get a car, then your credit will be pulled. It's just for them to check, to know, if to know the way they can handle your case. It's just like meeting a doctor, and then they have to run a test on you to be able to know what is wrong. Okay, so it's just the same way. So we have to pull it to be able to know, okay, let's do it this way, so that you can get a better, a better approval. So at times, with checking your credit, instead of you getting like a 15%, you might end up getting a 10%. But it's what he saw in the credit that feels, okay, you don't have a mortgage, for instance, or you have a mortgage, for instance, and then you've spent like this, like that, just to check to see how, how you are, and then be able to, but of course we need a consent, and that consent is what you're doing, typing on the internet, but you don't know, because most people don't know. They feel, okay, I've seen the car, right? And then I'm just making an inquiry for the car. You're not making an inquiry for the car. You're already applying for a credit check, and then, but like almost like 80% of people don't know that, And then so I think this is an eye opener for everyone to be able to, if you want to buy a car now, you're buying the future, for you to know, so you don't have yourself in such dangers.
Thank you so much for clarifying the importance of understanding your credit check and not just going on the internet and filling up your information, and you're automatically giving these dealers to check to check your credit status and see if you are credit worthy to finance their car. So the implication of that is, if you do that in three or four different dealers, you're dropping your credit points drastically, which can affect the decision you make eventually when you finally decide, I want to buy this car, and your credit score is messed up. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. And so I believe we're almost wrapping up. When it comes to financing a vehicle, would you recommend newcomers considering like a brand new vehicle, a 2025 vehicle in 2025? Or I know we've talked about older vehicles from like 2010 that probably doesn't make so much sense to finance. What kind of year range would you consider for newcomers to finance a vehicle or recommend?
Well, for newcomers, it depends on what, because you can get deals from everywhere, right? But the only thing is, do you want to put that huge loan on yourself as a newcomer? Okay, because you might have other plans like buying a house. Now, if you want to buy a house and you have almost like $50,000 on your credit bureau, if you're buying a house of, say, let's say $1 million, they're going to look at you like, oh, you have $50,000, you might not be able to get a house of $1 million, because you have a lot already on your head. So I would say, put it as low as possible, as low as possible. Maybe if you want to go 25, want to go 30, let's put it at our range, or even less, Yeah, but you can get deals from anywhere. You can even get some brand news. You can even get for like 20 something thousand, depending on the brand.
On the brand.
Yeah, depending on the brand.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I obviously can't mention names, but
Of course, we won't
yeah, but
mention
you
it.
can you can get on some brands, brand new. But again, those brands are, it's up to you. But the more
Yeah.
expensive ones are,
Yeah.
better brands. So it's just what it is. But you can get deals anyway. You can get in a used car, you can get in a new car as well.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chidi, for being a guest on the fire on our episode. And I believe I have one more question for you. What personal advice would you give to immigrants who are planning to finance their very first car in Canada?
For immigrants coming in, I would say search for the car, okay, that you want. Uh, you can, when you search, you go to the dealership that you want to buy this car from. Okay, go there, see the car, make sure that's what you want, and then you can do your application there. Now, if your application, if your credit is a little bit new, I would suggest you leave it for at least a year.
Okay.
Okay. Now some lenders you can get for like 6 months, 7 months, but they usually want to do a year of credit. But that doesn't mean that you can't get approval for like 3 months or 4 months or 5 months. You can still get approval for that, but most lenders want to leave it for a little bit of time, just for them to know you and for you to know them better. Basically, they're lending you money, you're giving them just a longer relationship. The longer you stay, the better they want to know you, and the better they want to give you something as well. So that's just the gimmicks around it. But I would say, well, you can try. I would say just walk into the dealership. Don't go around, going around everywhere. Walk into the dealership, look at the car you want, and then if that's what you want, or you already know what you want, some of them just have what they want from their head. Some people have one particular brand that you want, they don't want anything else. So with those ones it's easier. You can just walk in, see the brand, and then just apply for it. And that's it. It's pretty easy to just get a car. You can even get a car from your home if you see the brand you like on the website. Just give it a shot. You can even be at your home, and then we can deliver at your house as well. So yeah, it's pretty easy.
Back home, life is easy, yeah. But back home, when you want to buy a car and you're buying what we call tokumbo, so they're bringing it from the ocean and they're bringing it to the shores of Africa, and we're buying the tokumbo car. Sometimes we even go with mechanic to say, come and check this car out for me. Is everything working well? Does that happen here in Canada? Is it something that people
Okay,
do? Is
so
it advisable for people to do that? Though the difference is, brother
yeah.
Kamaru will take just a little bit from you when he's following you to find out to check the car. But yeah, But what do you suggest?
Well, here we have something known as safety standards. Here, and those safety standards, the government made it mandatory for every car. Unless if you're buying a car as is. Even when you go to a dealer, some dealers put an as is car as well. So you have to, as is just means the way the car is. So whatever problem the car is with is on you, right? You have to sign a disclaimer and all those things. So, but I wouldn't advise you buying those kind of cars because you don't know what's hidden in there. Even if whosoever you're bringing, like there are some cars that burn oil, internal oil, like the engines, right? There is no way you could know about it. No way, unless if you drive it for like maybe 3 months, 4 months. Those kind of cars, you need some like extended warranty. Some dealers will say, okay, we'll give you, a warranty for like 1 month or 2 months. At least when you drive it, drive
You can.
it, like drive it constantly. so that you would get if there's any issues of burning of oil, in the car. Once you get that, then you can take it back to the dealer. So that's a good thing about buying from a dealer. But if you buy from Facebook, then everything is on you. We've had a lot of complaints of people buying from Facebook, and then obviously there's nothing you can do about those kind of purchase. Yeah. So it's always good for you to buy cars that are from dealers, I would say. So that if anything happens, you can take it back to them. They're regulated, right? So it's easier for you to take it back to them and tell them. Most dealers are, some dealers are good, some are really bad. So, so it's just the way life is, But you just have to check out for the right ones, like us. We're pretty good. Just call us whenever you want to buy a car, and then we'll help you out all the way to your all the way and after. So what most people do is, you bought the car, you bought it, and then that's it. But we do that after
sales service.
What's it called?
After sales
like
service.
an after service, after sales service, we're still together. If there's anything, you can always call me, and then I'll look after. In fact, there was one time a customer called me around 11 a.m. I'm telling you, 11 a.m. he called me, and then I drove my car down there to see what was wrong with it, and then I was able to help him out as well, So that's it's a car at the end of the day, right? Anything could happen, just like humans as well. Those are machines, and then machines break down as well. So don't think because you bought it, there will be nothing wrong and all that. Fine, there might be nothing wrong, but there might be something wrong, So. But if you have all those backups of like maybe putting a warranty on it, if it doesn't have, because most of the ones that are lower kilometers will come with the warranty with the manufacturers, but the ones with a little bit of a higher kilometers, obviously there's no warranty on it, But if you get a warranty that will cover all those things, it's always better, makes you safer as well, And then I think that's pretty much it.
So it's important it's recommended that one takes warranty on a vehicle. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. Again, it's up to you. All these things are optional. Like there's warranty, there's gap, is all optional. Okay, gap pays up your loan if, like, let's say you have up to about 150%. Let's say you have like you have a loan up to, let's say, 30,000, and then insurance, you got into an accident and the car got totaled. Insurance is going to pay you whatever the car is worth at that time. Let's say the car is worth 15,000, so your remaining balance is 15. Now what the gap is going to do is gap is going to pay off the remaining balance, and then you're free to be able to get another. If you don't have gap, that means you have to pay from your pocket, or you have to roll it over to the next loan. So that's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
So that's what gap does for you. So that's pretty good. And then for warranty, again, it's optional. It's not a must you take these things. Warranty just helps you if you have any issues. In fact, some of them even do roadside assistance. If you have any issues, they'll pick up your car to wherever destination and then have it fixed, and you don't need to pay anything extra from your pocket. And then they help you as well. So it covers your engine, transmission, bumper to bumper electricals, and all that, depending on the warranty. So I would say, whatever you're doing, you have to read your contract. Read your contract. Most people don't. Read your contract. Know what is in your contract. Whatever is being added, whatever, just know what's in your contract. It is very, very important. Read your contract, know what's in your contract, and then before you sign whatever papers. Okay? Because some dealers just put in a lot of things in there, and then you just come in and then you just sign up. At the end of the day, you might not be able to pay that money off in so many years, So they have those kind of people as well, around us. So you have to be very careful. what you're doing. The things you don't want, you tell them you don't want. The things you want, you put it in. If you don't want it, you don't want it. Nobody, everything is optional, so nobody can force you to anything, whatever you don't want, and then they'll take it out.
All right, so we've heard from one of the people who've done financing advisors for financing cars in Canada for a very long time. Chidi Umeraka is a thank you again for being a guest on the Debo Taiwo podcast. And viewers, please, if you like this episode, make sure you comment, make sure you like, make sure you share, so it encourages us to do more educating episodes like this. So until the next episode, I would say bye bye for now. Thank you.